Good morning, children. So we'll continue with the chapter reproduction in plants. So I have to speak about the structure of a flower, an important part. So when we see towards the structure of a flower, see here, children. Structure of a flower, usually we call flower as the reproductive part of a plant. Flower is the reproductive part of a plant. So, when we call flower as the reproductive part of a plant, children, we see so many parts here in the flower. Okay. This, what we see, we can see here like the pink color, like colorful, we call them as, these pink color things, we call them as petals. What? Petals. Then, after petals, the outer coverings, okay children, outer colorful petals, we have here a green color like small leaves. These small leaves, we call them as sepal. Sepal is continued with the pedicel. Pedicel or also called as stencil. Pedicel is also called as style. Okay, so style continued with sepal. Sepal is being next, it is being converted into this yellow color part, what we call it as ovary. What? Ovary. See children, after this ovary, it continues to like a tube. Okay, it continues like a tube. So this tube is called as like totally we call it as pistil. So this pistil, it contains top part as stigma, middle part as the style. Okay, we have a tube here. This tube is called pollen tube. Okay, so this pollen tube continues to form a very important part. We call this part, whatever I am drawing now. Okay, this part as the ovule. This part as the ovule. Ovule contains small eggs. These eggs, we call them as the female reproductive cells. Eggs are called female reproductive cells. So these eggs are present inside the ovule. Okay. So ovule is present. This is ovule. Ovule is present inside the ovary. Okay. This entire part we call it as the female reproductive part. Nothing but called as the pistil. Female reproductive part. That is pistil. So it contains stigma. Okay, it contains stigma. It contains the pollen tube. It contains the style, middle part. It contains ovary. It contains ovule. It contains eggs. This is all about the female reproductive part of a plant. Then we have like this, whatever you can see are tube. This is nothing but like we call it as the filament. Filament at the top we have important segment. This segment is called by the name anther. Anther and filament together they come under the male reproductive part. So that is nothing but stamen. So stamen is what? Stamen is nothing but the male is nothing but the male reproductive part. Male reproductive part is stamen. Female reproductive part is pistil. So stamen contains anther and filament. This is anther and this is the filament. So anther contains small cells. Anther contains small cells. These cells are called by the name. These cells are called by the name pollen grains. These pollen grains, these cells, pollen grains are called as the male reproductive cells. Are called as the male reproductive cells. Pollen grains are called as the male reproductive cells. So this is what about the structure the flower is. Okay, it contains male part and female part. Some flowers, children, some flowers they have both male part also, female part also. If they are having male part also and female part also in a plant, okay, in a flower, if they have male part also and female part also in a flower, so such kind of such kind of plants you can call them as, so that flower is having male part also and female part also. This male reproductive part also and female reproductive part also. So such kind of plants we call them as, children, which are having both the reproductive parts. We call them as bisexual plants. Bisexual plants. So maybe mustard, example rose, catania. Some plants, in those flowers, it may have either male part or female reproductive part. So such plants are called as unisexual plants. Maybe corn, papaya, cucumber. So usually, children, if I take a chart, you can see here yellow color part. This yellow part is nothing but called as the petals. Petals. After petals, let me come towards this ovary part. Inside the ovary we have ovules. Ovules is having eggs, small eggs. Okay. Here we have shown here. Tube will be there. Okay. Pollen tube. After pollen tube we have style. So this style continues to form a stigma. It is together stigma, style, ovary, ovule, eggs. These all together come under female reproductive part. Children, stigma, style, ovary, ovule. These all come under the female reproductive part. We call them as pistil, or together we can call it by the name gynoecium. This is all about female part. Male part, we have anthers, okay, and a filament. This is the male reproductive part. So anther will be having pollen grains, which are called as male reproductive cells. This you have to understand. Then we have receptacle, nothing but the down part is called as pedicel. Top part is called as receptacle, down is called as stalk of a flower, that is what pedicel. So children, if you have understood about the structure of a flower, okay, then after this, when you know about the structure of a flower, we have male part and female part. Okay. As I have told till now. Then after this, pollination takes place, children. Pollination. Now you may ask, what is pollination? So, usually, children, pollination here this is all about cross pollination. Pollination we have here. I will show you there. First I will show you in this. Okay. Here, pollen grains. These pollen grains are nothing but male reproductive cells. Male reproductive cells. These get transferred from anther to the stigma. Transfer of pollen grains from anther part to the stigma part, from male part to the female part. The pollen grains jump from anther to the stigma. From the stigma they pass through the tube, that is what style. Okay, they pass through this tube, pollen tube, and they finally reach, these pollen grains reach the ovule part, and they get mixed with this eggs, and they get mixed with this eggs. Finally, like this, male cell and female cell fuse, male cell and female cell fuse. So fusion of this male cell and female cell in the ovule part, then children, this male and female cell fusion takes place, and they form an important part. They form a one cell. They form this, we call this one cell as this zygote. So this zygote is what? It is a fusion of male and female cells. So this process, fusion of male cell and female cell in the ovule, we call it by the name fertilization. We call it by the name fertilization. Fertilization means it is a fusion of mixing of male cell and female cell, okay, in the ovule. We call it as fertilization. So after this fertilization, when they both mix, they become a zygote. After certain days, after few days, zygote develops and it forms an entire, this part as an, or it becomes like a complete cell. It becomes further, it becomes embryo. It develops into an embryo. Okay. So this embryo, okay, this embryo which contain lot of like small seeds, embryo, it is going further, it becomes further, embryo can be further, it can become a fruit, it can become, embryo can further become a fruit which contains lot of seeds, Yes children, male female cell fusion, we call it as fertilization. After fertilization, we call it by the name like zygote. Zygote further develops into an embryo. Embryo further develops into fruit which contains seeds. This is all about like the pollination. See children, if pollen grains, if they jump from anther to the stigma of the same flower, or to the different flower of the same kind. Once again I will tell you. If pollen grains, if they transfer from anther to the stigma of the same flower, or to the different flower of the same plant, we call it by the name like self-pollination. One more will come, cross-pollination. Cross-pollination, what it is means, pollen grains from anther, they jump to the different plants, different flower. Here, pollen grains in a cloud, they are going to jump to the another flower of a different plant only, then we call it as cross pollination. Self pollination andre pollen grains will jump from anther to the stigma of the same flower, or it may be to the different flower of the same plant, then it is called self-pollination. Okay, children. So this pollination can take place with the help of so many agents, maybe air, water, birds, bees, insects. So these all agents, what we call these all agents are nothing but these are the agents for pollination. So air, water, insects, birds, bees, butterflies, these all are nothing but we call them as the modes or agents for pollination. So even seeds, they get dispersed to different places with the help of these birds, with the help of these insects, with the help of these bees, butterflies and all. Seeds are getting dispersed to different places. So they get dispersed to different places only because of these agents, these birds, they get only because of these insects, these bees, these butterflies, these birds. So these are the agents which are going to transfer the seeds to different places. So this is what the mode of dispersal of seeds takes place in the environment. Okay, here we have one important thing to understand, children: self-pollination and cross-pollination. Okay, so hope you all have understood. When you come to the class, I am going to take a flower, put the flower in your hands. I am going to dissect it and make you understand the different different male reproductive part and female reproductive part. Taking a flower, we can dissect it and we can show the different male reproductive part and female reproductive part and make you understand clearly. But still, you people go through the textbook once and read the textbook. Okay, thank you.